one participants or respondent has given that is up to 10% we have in course curriculum. Thank you, Shivani ma'am, for this poll.
So good afternoon. So in the previous lab sessions, we have discussed the up to lab exercises 10. So we have left with the 2 exercises. So those exercises are regarding the threads. So in theory, we have completed the threads. So let us complete the lab exercises regarding the threads. So we have exercise 10 and exercise 11 regarding the threads. So let us see the what are the programs given. So first one is 10A. So first one is write a Java program that creates threads by extending the thread class. So to create the threads, that means creation of the threads. So this program is regarding the creation of the threads. So creation of the threads. So creation of the threads can be implemented by using the 2 ways. First one is extending the thread class. Second one is implementing the runnable interface. Implementing the runnable interface. So we have 2 ways to implement the threads. So in the first program, we have to implement the threads by using the thread class. Second program is implement the threads by using the runnable interface. So that is the aim of this program. So let us see the problem application what he has given. So here, first thread display the good morning. Good morning every 1 second. That means every 1000 milliseconds, the good morning message will be displayed. That is the thread 1. Second thread is, the second thread displays the hello message, hello, for every 2 seconds. That means 2000 milliseconds. Next, third thread is, it displays the welcome message for every 3 seconds, every 3000 milliseconds. So this is the aim of the program. So in this program, we have to create the 3 threads. So thread 1 is for good morning. Thread 2 is for hello. Thread 3 is for welcome. So we have to display the good morning message for every 1 second, hello message for every 2 seconds, welcome message for every 3 seconds. So this is the 3 different threads. So this concept can be implemented by using the 2 ways. That is extending the thread class and then implementing the runnable interface. So we have to write the 2 programs. First one is by using the thread class. Second one is by using the runnable interface. So by using these 2 ways, we can create the threads. So this is the aim of this program. So let us implement this one. So Notepad is open. So hope the Notepad is open. So let us see the program, what I have written. So here I am creating the class good morning. So here the class name is good morning. I am creating the one class. So which extends the thread class. So here we can implement the threads by using this one, extends thread. Another one is implements runnable. There are 2 ways, implements runnable and then extends threads. So first we will see the extends thread. By using the thread class, we can create the threads. So this is the class I am creating, good morning class. So here I am writing the run method. Here I am writing the run method. So here within the run method, we will write the thread statements. So whatever the statements you have to run under the thread, those statements will be placed in the run method. So here I am going to write the some for loop. Int I is equal to 1 to I less than or equal to 10, I plus 5. I am iterating the 10 times. So sleep 1000 milliseconds. So I am using the method sleep. So whenever you use the sleep method, we have to place that method in the try catch block. So there may be a possibility of the exception. That's why we'll place this sleep method in the try catch block. So here I am printing the good morning. So before printing the good morning, we are sleeping the thread for 1000 millisecond. That means for every 1 second, good morning has to be displayed. So that is the aim of the program. For every 1 second, good morning has to be displayed. For every 2 seconds, hello message has to be displayed. For every 3 seconds, welcome message has to be displayed. So here I have written the printf statement, good morning. Then I am writing some catch block. So this is the class regarding the good morning. I have created a class for good morning. Next, I am going to create the class for hello. So here I am creating the class for hello. See here I am, class name is hello, which extends the thread class. So here run method. So in the run method, we will write the logic. So here I am iterating the loop. It will sleep for 2 minutes, 2 seconds. In the aim, for every 2 seconds, hello message has to be printed. So the printf statement is placed in the hello is placed in the printf statement. We are using the sleep method. So we have to place this block in the try catch block. So this is the hello class. Next, I am going to create the welcome class also. So here I am creating the welcome class, which extends from the thread public void run. So this is the run method. So in this, we are writing the logic. For every 3 seconds, welcome message has to be displayed. That means the thread has to wait for 3 seconds. That's why I have suspended the thread by using the sleep method. So regarding that, catch block is written. So class is closed. So for 3 threads, 3 different classes are defined. So for good morning, one class. For hello, one class. For welcome, another class. So in that class, we have written the run method. In that class, we have written the run method. That means the thread logic is written in the run method. So whenever you start the t1.start, that means thread is started. Thread execution starts from this statement. So whenever you invoke this start method, then automatically the control goes to the run method. So that's why we have written 3 different classes. So for main class, so here I am writing the main class. So main class name is thread demo 1. So this is the main class name. So this is the main method, public static void main method. So here I am creating the object for each class. For good morning, for hello, for welcome. So I am defining the objects for each and every class. So I have defined the 3 classes. So I am going to create the 3 threads, 3 different threads. So this is the syntax for creation of the threads or object or anything. By using the new operator, we can create the object, thread object. We can call it as a thread object. So next, we can invoke the start method, a1.start, b1.start, c1.start. So whenever you invoke this method a1.start, then control automatically goes to the run method. Control automatically goes to the run method. Which run method? We have 3 run methods. Which run method? A1 objects run method. A1 object belongs to good morning class. So automatically good morning's run method will be executed. After that, hello run method. After that, welcome run method. So this is the program to illustrate to print the good morning and hello and welcome with some delay. So by using the 3 different classes, 3 different threads. So here we have extended the thread class. Here we have extended the thread class. So this is one implementation of the thread class. So then there is another way to implement this program, that is by using the runnable interface. So let us execute this one and then we will go for the runnable interface. Java C thread demo.java, not thread demo1.java. So see the output. Good morning. Hello, good. So we have given the I less than or equal to 10. That means the loop will iterate for 10 times. So here there is no synchronization between the threads. So there is no synchronization. We have not yet used the synchronizer keyword here. So if you want, we can use and observe the outputs. So this is one way of implementation. So next one is by using the runnable interface. So by using the runnable interface, we can implement the problem. So see here, same as the above before mentioned program, but the implementation is slightly different. Here in the previous program, we have used the extends thread. So here we are using the implements thread. There we have extended the properties from a class. Here we are implementing the interface. Runnable is an interface. Runnable is an interface. So where the run method is defined in the interface. So run method is defined. So in the thread class, run method is defined. Here in the interface, run method is defined. That's why we are implementing the runnable interface. Same run method, logic. So here, check here, thread.sleep. We have given the thread.sleep. So in the before program, we have not yet given the anything. So t.sleep or thread.sleep, we have not yet given anything. So here the sleep method is in the thread class. So sleep method is a static method. Without creation of the object also, we can access this sleep method. So the class name is thread class. That's why thread.sleep. So in the previous program, we have not given anything. See here, just sleep. Just we have invoked the sleep method. We have not yet given any object reference or class reference. But whenever we use the runnable interface, we have to give we have to access from the class. Why? Because sleep is a static method. Thread.sleep. Then printf statements, same as above program. So here I am creating the hello class. Hello class, same, implements the runnable. Here see thread.sleep. Same, I am creating the welcome method. Here I am creating the welcome method. Welcome class, 3 classes. So here thread.sleep. So some printf statement. Next main class. So see the difference between the implementation of the thread by using the thread class and the runnable interface. So in theory, I have explained this one. So let us see again. So here, so this is the main class. This is the main method. Okay. So I am going to create the object for each and every class, A1, B1, C1. Okay. So in previous program, we have directly start the start method. A1.start, A2.start, A3.start. Check here. So we have directly started the methods. A1.start. A1 is an object of good morning. So good morning class extends the thread class. See here. Good morning class extends the thread class. So we can directly call this method A1.start. But while running the while implementing the runnable interface, see here, So good morning is a class. So which is not extending the properties from the thread class. So here start method is available in the thread class. Start method is defined in the thread class. So this start method is not a interface method, not a runnable interface method. So runnable interface has only one method, that is run method. Other than that, runnable interface has no methods, no predefined methods. So in order to invoke the start, in order to invoke the start method, so we need to create an object of type thread. We need an object of type thread. So that's why we are creating a object T1 of type thread. So in the constructor, we are passing this object A1, parameterized constructor. So here for hello message, we are passing the hello object B1. So for welcome object C1. So by using the T1, T2, T3, we can invoke the start method. So in previous, compare this program and the previous program. So in the previous program, directly we have started the start method, A1 dot start, B1 dot start, C1 dot start. So let us see why it happened. A1 dot start. So A1 is an object. So A1 is an object of class good morning. So class good morning is extending the thread class. Class good morning is extending the thread class. So that's why we have directly invoked the start method. That means inheritance. Extends means inheritance. That means we can access the methods or objects or methods or variables are defined in the superclass can be utilized by the subclass. So that's why we have directly accessed the start method A1 dot start. But here we have not yet extending the thread class. Just we are using the runnable interface. We are using the runnable interface. We have not imported the thread class, or we have not extended these classes from the thread class. Just we are implementing the run method by using the runnable interface. So in order to start this method, in order to use this start method, we need a class. We need a thread class. So we do thread class. So start method is not an static method. That means without objects, we cannot access the start method. We need an object. We need an object of class thread. Why? Because start method is defined in the thread class. That's why we are creating the object for thread class T1, T2, T3. So, and again, we are passing the constructor A1, B1, C1. A1 for good morning, B1 for hello, C1 for welcome. So we can start the method by using T1 dot start, T2 dot start, T3 dot start. So let us see in practice, we can use this one. Directly we can A1 dot start, you can give the directly you can give the A1 dot start. So you get the error. We get the error. There is no direct access, something like that. You get the error. So that's why we have to create an thread object for the class thread. So this is the difference between the implementation of threads by using the thread class and then runnable interface. So implementation is quite different here. So we have to identify the differences here. So let us see the output for this also. Java C thread demo. So see the output. So let us see, there is no synchronization between the threads here. So let us see what happens if you give the synchronization. So can you perform the synchronization here? How can you perform the synchronization? So let us try for this good morning method. We cannot make the run method. We cannot give the synchronized keyword for the run method, or we cannot give the synchronized static method for the run method. So there is a one possibility. We can use the synchronized block. Let us see whether this will work out or not. Synchronized this. So this block, try block, catch block, and this is for. So let us check the output. So I have, so these are the thread statements. So I have placed the thread statements within the synchronized block. Within the synchronized block. Let us see whether this work out or not. Thread demo. So here I have synchronized the only one single run method. So let us make the hello class also synchronized. Let us see here. Synchronized this, braces open, catch method. So let us make this block also synchronized. Synchronized this, try catch block. So let us run again. So no errors. So we are not identifying that whether the three threads are synchronized or not. So let us remove this one, the statements. This one. Sleep. We have given the thread dot sleep. So remove this statement. So why? Because sleep means the thread waits for the some 3000 seconds or 2000 seconds. So if you remove that statement, we can get this only welcome will display without delay. The output will be displayed. Let us check this one. Thread dot sleep. Let us save this one. So see here, I have removed the suspension of the thread. See the output. So hello will be displayed. After that, so welcome is displayed. After that, good morning is displayed. After that, welcome is displayed. That means third, welcome means third one. So welcome means third one. So there is some synchronization here. So we can edit the program to get the proper output. So this is the synchronization. We have seen some programs regarding the synchronization also. So if you want to make the synchronization, you can do like this also. So this is the first program. So let us see the second one. So this is the 10th in the 10th exercise completed the first part A, that is by using the thread class, by using the runnable interface, we have implemented the 3 threads: hello, good morning thread, hello thread, and welcome thread. So this is one program. So next program is write a program to illustrate the isAlive and join methods. So in the thread class, we have so many methods. So among them, we can use these two methods to implement these two methods. So isAlive and join. So what is the purpose of isAlive? So isAlive is a method which will return whether the thread is alive or not. That means whether the thread is executing or not. So whether the thread is in running state or not. So to know that, we can use the method isAlive. isAlive T1, isAlive T2. That means whether the T1 is alive or not. Then join. So join is a method which is used to synchronize the threads. We can use the join method to synchronize the threads for some extent. That means T1.join means, so suppose we have the 3 threads, T1, T2, T3. Suppose we have the 3 threads. So we have given the statements like this. T1.join. If you invoke this method, so remaining threads are there. T2.start, T2.start, T3.start. We have 3 threads. So before executing the T2 and T3, we have given the statement T1.join. That means remaining threads T2 and T3 will wait until the T1 completes its execution. T2 and T3 waits until the T1 will execution completed. So that means, so whenever the T1 execution completes, then only T2 will go to the running state. After that, T3 will go to the running state. Suppose see the before program, previous program. Even though we have synchronized the output. So see here, even though we have synchronized the output, so 5 iterations are welcome thread is executed. After that, good morning thread is executed. After that, welcome thread is executing. That means before completion of the welcome thread, good morning thread is executing. Welcome thread is not completed its execution, even though good morning thread is executing here. So in order to avoid this one, we can give before executing the good morning thread, we can give the welcome.join. If you write the statement as welcome that means welcome object. That means welcome object is A1 or B1 or C1 something. A1.join. If you give the statement A1.join, the output is B1 C1 will execute after completion of the A1. After completion of the T1 only, T2 will execute. T2 and T3 will execute. That is the purpose of the join method. So this is very, very useful methods, isAlive and join. So let us see the program. So let us see here. So my class name is myThread. myThread is the class name. So which extends the thread class. That means it means that run method is in this class. We are going to write the run method here. So that class has to be extend the thread class. That means we are implementing the threads by using the thread class. Then public void run. So in the run method, we have to write the thread statements. So here I am writing some printf statement R1. Next, I am using the sleep method. Sleep method. That means 5 seconds, the thread will wait. So we are using this sleep method means we have to place that in the try catch block. So I have written the try block and the catch block. I have printed the empty catch block. And then I am printing the R2. So this is my run method. This is my run method. And then main method, public static void main. So here I am creating the objects T1, T2, two objects for the class myThread. myThread is a class which extends from the thread class. So there is no need to create the objects for the thread. So it is enough that we can create the only objects for the myThread class T1, T2. So here T1 dot start. I have started the thread 1. I have started the thread 1. So let us see how the control will execute. So whenever you invoke this method T1 dot start, that means the thread will start executing. So whenever you invoke this one, the control goes to the run method. The control will goes to the run method. So in the run method, R1 will execute. R1 will execute. So R1 will execute and wait for the 5 seconds. And then there is no exception. If there is no exception, R2 is printed. R2 is printed. So here see the try block. Join. So we have to write the join method also in the try catch block. So I have given the T1 dot join. I have given the T1 dot join. That means T2 thread will wait for completion of the T1 thread. So no other thread can be executed until the completion of the thread T1. Let us see the here. Next T2 dot start. I have invoked the start method also. That means second thread will execute. Generally second thread will execute. So to avoid this one, that one we have to give the T1 dot join. T1 dot join. That means the thread will wait until the completion of the T1. That is the purpose of using the join method. So next, after completion of that, I have written the T2 dot start. Then T2 will start executing. So this is by using this one, you can implement the mutual exclusion condition. We can say this as a mutual exclusion condition. That means only one process will be there in the executable area. See here. Next, I am writing some printf statements. T1 dot is alive. So is alive is a method which is used to Boolean method. We can call it as a Boolean method. Why? Because it will return the either true or false. So whether T1 is running, it will print true. If T1 is not executing, it will print false. So that is the usage of the is alive and join method. So let us see output. Java C mythread.java. R1 is executed and waiting for the 5000 milliseconds. That means 5 seconds. And R2 is executed. After that, the statements are executed. After completion of the execution, these statements are executed. That is T1 is alive. No, T1 is not alive. That means already we have started the T2 method. That means already we have used the in between the T1 dot start and T2 dot start, we have used the T1 dot join. That means after completion of the T1 only T2 will start. T2 will start execution. That means T1 is not executing now. That's why we got the false. Then T2 is alive. Yes, T2 is alive. And then T2 is already started. That means the T2 thread will execute. That means run method will execute. That means run method will execute. So run method is this one. It prints the R1 and R2. So if you have the two threads means we can use the some statement here. Thread G is equal to thread dot current thread. Thread dot current thread. So let us see what happens now. It wait for the 5000 milliseconds. R2 is printed. Alive methods are called and then R1, R2 is printed. So no change. So this is the program to illustrate the join method as well as the isAlive methods. So next one. So I have completed the 10A, 10B. Let us see the 10C. So write a program to illustrate the daemon threads. So daemon threads are the threads which will run background. That means we can call it as a system programs. System program means system threads. So while we are executing anything, background something will happen for processing or memory purpose. Something will execute on background in the system. Something will execute on the background. So those type of things are known as daemon threads. Daemon threads. That means the threads which will run automatically, which will run on background. So those type of threads are known as daemon threads. The programmer or user cannot create these threads. Automatically the threads will be created. So whenever we execute the main method, public static void main, that means the program execution starts from the run main method. We say that program execution starts with the main method. That means a thread will run in the background to execute that main method. Some main thread will execute. That is called daemon thread. That we can treat it as a user defined threads and then predefined threads. So we can call these daemon threads as predefined threads. Up to now we have seen the user defined threads. We are creating our threads. So let us see daemon threads, illustration of the daemon threads. So let us check this program. So this is my class, main class. Daemon thread example is my class, which extends from the thread. So this is the run method. So in this method, we have to write our thread code, thread logic. So here I am writing some if else statements. If thread dot current thread. So current thread is a method which is used to represent the current running thread. So thread dot current thread dot isDaemon. So isDaemon is a method. IsDaemon is a method which is used to return whether the thread is daemon thread or not. It will return true or false. Boolean method. IsDaemon is a Boolean method which will return whether it is a true or false. So here, if this condition is true, daemon thread is executing. It will print the daemon thread. Else, normal thread is executing. So this is some logic I have written in the run method. So whether it is a daemon thread, print this one. So whether it is not a daemon thread, print this statement. So simple. So next one. So next one, just this is my main method. So in this I am creating some objects T1, T2 of the type daemon example thread class. So this is the class name. So this is a simple creation of the object T1 and T2. Next, I am making my thread as a daemon thread. So T1 dot set daemon. So set daemon is a method which is used to set the thread as daemon thread. So T1 is a thread which is defined by me. So this is not a daemon thread. Now I am making this thread as daemon thread. The syntax is T1 dot set daemon true. Set daemon true. Then I am calling the T1 dot start, T2 dot start. So whenever you call the T1 dot start, control automatically goes to the run method. So T1 dot start. So in the T1 dot start, this if statements will be executed. T1 dot thread dot current thread. Here current thread is T1. T1 is daemon. If it return true, this will execute. This will be printed. After that, T2 dot start. Again goes to this one. T2 current thread is T2. T2 is daemon thread. No. False will be displayed. So this is the simple program to illustrate the daemon threads. So let us check the output. Java C daemon ph daemon thread example1 dot demo. No errors. So see the output here. So this is the output. So in the T1 dot start, daemon thread is executing. That is true. We have make that thread as daemon. That's why this one is executed. Next, second thread is started. So second thread is not a daemon thread. That's why user thread is executing is displayed. Else statement is displayed. So this is the 10th lab cycle. That means 10th exercise. So we have completed the 10th one. 10th one is regarding the threads. We have seen the thread by using the thread class, by using the runnable interface, we have implemented this concept. And then we have used the easy alive and join methods. And then we have seen the daemon threads. So this is the 10th exercise. So this is the 10th exercise. So any doubts? So you don't get any doubts. So you know all these concepts in daemon. What is your question? డీమాన్ థ్రెడ్స్ గురించా? సో డీమాన్ థ్రెడ్స్ అంటే ఏం లేదు, మనకి సిస్టమ్ ప్రాసెస్ ఉంటాయి కదా, మనం సిస్టమ్ ఆన్ చేయగానే సిస్టమ్కి సంబంధించిన కొన్ని ప్రాసెస్లు రన్ అవుతాయి. వాటిని ఏమంటాం అంటే సిస్టమ్ ప్రాసెస్లు అంటాం. సేమ్ అలాగే మన సిస్టమ్ ఆన్ చేయగానే సిస్టమ్ ఆన్ అవ్వాలని ఒక చిన్న బటన్ నొక్కుతాం అంతే. బటన్ నొక్కగానే ఆటోమేటిక్గా దాని అంతరికి అదే సిస్టమ్ ఆన్ అయ్యి మై విండోస్ ఓపెన్ అయ్యి పాస్వర్డ్ క్లిక్ చేస్తే మన ఓపెనింగ్ స్క్రీన్ ఓపెన్ అవుతుంది. ఇదంతా జరగాలంటే బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్లో చాలా ప్రాసెస్లు రన్ అవుతాయి. మనమేమి వాటిని ఇన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేయట్లా. సిపి యూటిలైజేషన్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చెయ్యి, ఈ చెయ్యి, అవి చెయ్యి అని మనం ఏం చెప్పట్లేదు. సో ఆటోమేటిక్గా బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్లోనే ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది అవన్నీ చేస్తుంది. సో వాటిని బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్లో జరిగే వాటిని ఏమంటామంటే అది థ్రెడ్ అయితే థ్రెడ్స్ అంటాం, లేదా సిస్టమ్ ప్రాసెస్లు అంటాం. ఇక్కడ థ్రెడ్స్ అంటున్నాం కాబట్టి వాటిని ఒక నేమ్ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి దాన్ని డీమోన్ థ్రెడ్స్ అంటాం. అవి ఏంటంటే డిఫాల్ట్ థ్రెడ్స్. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ రాసామంటే ఆ ప్రోగ్రాంలో ఖచ్చితంగా మెయిన్ మెథడ్ ఉంటుంది. మెయిన్ మెథడ్ ఉందంటే ఆటోమేటిక్గా మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్ అనేది డీమోన్ మెయిన్ థ్రెడ్ అనేది రన్ అయిపోతుంది. అది రన్ అవ్వాలని మనం ఏమి కంప్యూటర్కి ఇన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేయట్లేదు. జావా కంపైలర్ అనేది ఆటోమేటిక్గా ప్రోగ్రామ్ లైన్స్ని చెక్ చేసినప్పుడు ఎక్కడైతే మెయిన్ కనపడిందో మెయిన్ కనపడంగానే ఆటోమేటిక్గా డీమాన్ థ్రెడ్ మెయిన్ అనేది రన్ అవుతుంది. అది ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ని ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసిద్ది. అలాంటి వాటిని డీమాన్ థ్రెడ్స్ అంటాం. మనం వాటి స్పెషల్గా ఏమి డిజైన్ చేయవు. ఆ థ్రెడ్స్ని ఆటోమేటిక్గా మన కోడ్ బట్టి కొన్ని ఆటోమేటిక్గా క్రియేట్ అవుతాయి. కంపైలర్ జావా ప్రో లైబ్రరీస్ అనేవి ఆటోమేటిక్గా క్రియేట్ అవుతాయి. వాటిని డీమోన్ థ్రెడ్స్ అంటారు. సో ఇది థ్రెడ్స్ గురించి. నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకో ఎక్సర్సైజ్ ఉంది, ఎక్సర్సైజ్ 11. సో వీ హ్యావ్ అనదర్ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ 11 దట్ ఈస్ రిగార్డింగ్ ది thread synchronization. Second part is synchronization. So in the 11th exercise we have the Java program to producer consumer problem. So we know the problem, producer and consumer problem. In the operating systems we get this concept, producer consumer problem, dining philosophers problem. Like that we have so many classical synchronization problems. So in a producer consumer problem is an example for the synchronization problem, operating system synchronization problem. So anyone can explain this one, producer consumer problem? So can anyone explain the producer consumer problem? సరే నేనే చెప్తాను, పడుకున్నట్టున్నారు. సో ఇక్కడ 2 థింగ్స్ ఉంటాయి, ప్రొడ్యూసరు, కన్జ్యూమర్. సో ప్రొడ్యూసర్ అనేవాడు ఏంటంటే ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తాడు, అంటే ఐటమ్స్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాడు. కన్జ్యూమర్ అనేవాడు ఏంటంటే ఆ ఐటమ్స్ని కన్జ్యూమ్ చేస్తాడు. కన్జ్యూమ్ చేస్తాడంటే తీసుకుంటాడు. సపోజ్ ఏంటంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ దీన్ని ఎలా చెప్పొచ్చు అంటే, సపోజ్ మనకి ఇలా ఒక ర్యాక్ ఉంది. సో ఒక ర్యాక్ ఉంది. సో ఈ ర్యాక్లో ఏం చేస్తామంటే ప్రొడ్యూసర్ అనేవాడు ఏం చేస్తాడంటే బుక్స్ అనుకోండి, బుక్స్ ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తున్నాడు అనుకోండి. ప్రొడ్యూసర్ అనేవాడు బుక్స్ ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేస్తున్నాడు అనుకోండి. ఆ బుక్స్ని ఏం చేస్తాడు, ఈ షెల్ఫ్స్లో ప్లేస్ చేస్తాడు. ఇక్కడ ఒక బుక్, ఇక్కడ ఒక బుక్ పెడతాడు, ఇక్కడ ఒక బుక్ పెడతాడు, ఇక్కడ ఒక బుక్ పెడతాడు, ఇక్కడ ఒక బుక్ పెడతాడు. ఇది షెల్ఫ్ ఏంటి, నిండిపోయింది. నిండిపోతే ఏం చేస్తాడు, సో ఇఫ్ ద అవైలబుల్ మెమరీ ఈజ్ ఫుల్ హియర్, ద మెమరీ ఈజ్ ఫుల్ హియర్, దెర్ ఈస్ నో స్పేస్ ఫర్ ప్లేస్ ది అనదర్ ఐటమ్ హియర్. So the main purpose of the producer is to produce an item, whether it is a book or table or anything. It will produce an item and place in the shelf. So likewise, so there is another user that is consumer. So consumer will consume this item. Suppose if the producer will produce the biscuits, if he creates the biscuits and place in these shelves, and the consumer will eat the biscuits. Consumer will eat the biscuit. Whenever he found a biscuit in the shelf, he will take and consume the biscuits. That means he will utilize the items which are produced by the producer. So whenever the producer produce the item, so suppose here we can maintain some, suppose treat this as a memory. If the memory is full, there are so many conditions here. If the memory is full, the producer can't produce the item. Why? Because it has no space. That is one condition. If the memory is full, the producer cannot produce the items. So if the memory is empty, that means the consumer cannot consume the item. If there is no item, then the consumer no way can access the items. So that is one condition. So when we come to the consumer, we have to check the empty condition. When we'll come to the producer, we have to check the whether the stack is full or not, whether it may be any memory or any data structure. So whether the memory is full or not. While coming to the consumer, we have to check whether the memory is empty or not. If that is empty, consumer cannot consume the item. Whether the while coming to the producer, if the memory is full, the producer cannot produce the item. That is the problem. That is the some synchronization problem here. Here, one more thing. Whenever the producer places an item, we have to increment the count. Suppose here I have taken this as some variable count. Initially count equal to 0. I have assigned the count value as 0. So whenever the one item is added into the memory, the count value has to be incremented. The count value has to be incremented. While coming to the producer, the count value has to be incremented. Count plus plus. The count value has to be incremented. Whenever producer will add the item to the memory, the count value has to be incremented. So whenever the consumer consumes an item, that means one item is removed from the shelf. That means it makes some space. It makes some space for the producer to produce an item. That means whenever the consumer consumes, then the count value has to be decremented. The count value has to be decremented. So these are the conditions in the producer and consumer problem. So we have to implement this concept by using the threads. By using the threads in a synchronized manner. So producer has to synchronize it with the consumer. Consumer has to synchronize with the producer. So we can implement the synchronized threads by using the producer and the consumer problem. So this is the aim of this program. So let us see the second one. So second one is theory. So write a case study. Write a case study. That means we have to write the theory on the thread synchronization after solving the above producer consumer problem. So this is the case study. That means you have to write some theory. This is not a program. You have to write some theory regarding the thread synchronization. Thread synchronization for the producer consumer problem. So this is the 11th exercise. So let us execute this one. So check the program here. So here I am creating one class. So here I am creating one class for producing an item and then consuming an item. For that method, for that functionality, I am to implement that two functionalities. I am making the one class A. So in this class, we are going to create the methods get method and put method. We are going to create the get method and then put method. So put method means the producer will put an item into the memory. That is the put method. To do the task, I am writing some method. Get method. Get means the consumer will take the item from the memory. Get the item from the memory. For that purpose, I am writing the get method. So put method and get method. So to implement this placing and removing from that memory, I have defined the class A. So to implement that concept, I need some variables. So I am defining some variable int n. So boolean b, some boolean variable. I am assigning the boolean variable to the false. Initially, I have assigned the boolean variable to the false. And then I am defining the methods int get. So before that, I am using the keyword synchronized. That means we have to provide the synchronization here. That's why I have used the synchronized keyword here. Synchronized int get. So here, if not equal to b, that means not equal to b means if true. If true. So if any of these cases, if the b is true, that means If the B value is true, then we have to execute this one. That is try catch. We have placed the try catch block. That is wait method. We have invoked the wait method. That means the process, the thread will wait. The thread will wait. So the exception is written. So whenever the wait, sleep, join. So these, whenever you use these methods, you have to place these methods in the try catch block. So here I am printing the got. Get means I am received an item. That's why I have written this one. Got plus n. I am printing the n value. I am printing the n value. Next I am I am replacing the b value with the false. So whenever the b value is true, this will be executed. So then I am updating the b value. Updating the b value as false. Updating the b value as false. Then notify. So notify is a method used to communicate between the threads. To communicate, inter-thread communication can be achieved by using the notify method. Notify method. Then I am returning the n value. So this method will return n value. So before the return type, we have written the int value. That means it will return the n value. So this is the get method, synchronized get method. Next, let us see the put method also. Let us see the put method. Synchronized void put method. It needs some input n. So if b means b has the value false. So if while getting in the get method, we have written the if not equal to b. So here we are writing the if b. If the b value is false, then it will wait for some time. After that, this dot n equal to n. We are assigning the some n value here, and then we are updating the b value as true. Then we are putting the value, and then we are notifying to the all. We can have the notify all also. Here we have only two threads. That's why we have given the notify. That's why we have given the notify. Wait and notify. These are the two methods which are used to communicate between the two threads. Communicate between the two threads. Inter-thread communication can be done by using the wait and notify methods. Wait and notify methods. So these are the methods defined in the class A. I have defined the class A. In that class, I have written the put method and get method. So this is the class A. Next. So next I am writing the another class. So here it is a producer class. So I am writing the producer class. That means I am going to write the run method in this. I am going to write here. I am going to write the run method here. That means you have to implement the thread logic in the run method. So I am implementing the runnable interface. So I am creating the threads by using the runnable interface. So here I am not using the, I am not extending the thread class. I am using the runnable interface. So here I am creating an object reference A1 of the class A. So I am creating the T1 object of the reference for the thread class. So I am defining the constructor producer. I am passing the object A1. So this dot A1 equal to A1, some initialization, and then T1. T1 is equal to new thread this. So I have started the T1 dot start. I am starting the T1 thread 1. That means here I have created the two objects. Why? Because so while implementing the runnable interface, we need two objects. Why? Because one is for thread class, one is for defined class. So here we have not directly imported the thread class. That's why we are creating an object for the thread class. That means start method is defined in the thread class. Start method is defined in the thread class. That's why we have created the object for T1. But we are passing some parameter. This means A1. So A1. We are passing the parameterized constructor here, A1. So A1 means A1 is an object created for the class A. So that means put method and get method are defined in the class A. So in order to access that one, we need to create the object A1. So here A1. So T1 dash start. So in the run, so I have taken one iteration and then put method is invoked. Producer means producer has to place the items P1, P2, put 1, put 2, put 3, put 4, put 5. Like that we have to place the items. So put method is defined in the class A. Defined in the class A. That means we have to access the class members of the class A through an object. So here object is A1. A1 dot put. A1 dot put of I. I means some iteration value. So this is the producer class. So this is the producer class. Likewise, we can define the consumer class also. Likewise, we can define the consumer class. So class consumer, which implements the runnable interface, same some object reference A1, thread reference T1, some constructor consumer passing the some object, then assigning the object value and invoking the thread method, and then starting the thread. Consumer thread will be started through the T1. Next run method, in that run method, consumer will get the items. So we have to call the get method by object A1 dot get. So put method is for producer, get method is for consumer. So this is the consumer class. So likewise, so we have not yet defined the main class. So let us define the main class here. So producer consumer is my main class. So public static void main method. Next, I am creating an object A1 of class A. So this is the object creation. Next one, I am creating the object for producer P1 and consumer C1. I am passing the object values A1. That's why we have used the constructor here, consumer constructor. Likewise, we have used the producer constructor. Then only we can pass the parameters like this, A1. So P1, C1. Already we have started the method T1 dot start, T2 dot start. Already we have started the methods. That's why here we have not started the things. So this is the program to illustrate the producer and consumer problem. So here I have taken the 4 classes. Class A. So in the class A, I have defined the 2 methods, put method and then get method. I have defined the 2 methods, put method and get methods. And then I have defined the producer method. I have defined the producer method. And then in the producer method, I have invoked the put method. In the consumer method, I have called the get method. So in the main, I have created the another class A. I have created the A, P, C, and then for the main class, I have defined the producer and consumer. This is the main class. In this, I have created the objects A1 and P1, C1. Like that, I have created the objects. So this is the simple program to illustrate the concept of producer and consumer. So let us see the output. Java C producer and consumer dot Java. No errors. So I have get the I got the output. See the output. Put 1, get 1. Put 2, got 2. Put 3, got 3. After putting only, we can take the item. After placing in the memory, then only we can consumer can take the item. Put 10, after putting the 10, then only he will get the 10. So this is how we can perform the synchronization. So this is the 11th exercise. So we have completed the 10 and 11 regarding the threads. We have completed the lab programs, lab exercises 10 and 11. So then we have the exercise up to exercise 12. We have explained all these things. Up to exercise 12, we have completed the all the exercises. So exercise 13 and exercise 14. So exercise 13 and exercise 14 are not in our syllabus. That means in the theory, we don't have these concepts, applets and event handling. Applets and event handling is not in our syllabus. In R19, we don't have the syllabus. Applets and event handling. So I am leaving for you these two exercises. So if you want to learn those things, you can learn yourself. Applet programming and event handling. So exercise 13 and exercise 14, I have left these things. So in your lab internal or lab external, you will get the programs up to exercise 12 only. You will get up to exercise 12 only. So in the observation and record, you have to place these things. Exercise 13 and exercise 14 also, you can write the sample outputs and sample programs. So if you want to learn, you can learn by yourself. So this is the Java programming lab. So you have to complete the observations. You have to complete the record also. So while coming to the college, you have to submit all these things. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me. So this is all about the lab. So next one, while coming to the theory, so we have our syllabus is not yet completed. So we are going to start the Java database connectivity. So we have completed the string handling and we have completed the multi-threading, and then we have left with the Java database connectivity. So this we will start tomorrow. So we'll complete this one very soon. సో ఆన్లైన్ కంపైలర్స్ యూస్ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు పబ్లిక్ స్టాటిక్ వాయిడ్ మెయిన్ యూస్ చేసే దగ్గర ప్రాబ్లం వస్తుంది. సో వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే ఆ కంపైలర్ డిఫాల్ట్గా వాళ్ళ ప్రోగ్రామ్ నేమ్ ఏదో ఇస్తారు, మెయిన్ అని క్లాస్ నేమ్, డిఫాల్ట్ క్లాస్ నేమ్ మెయిన్ అని ఏదో ఇస్తారు. మనకు తగ్గట్టు మన క్లాస్ నేమ్లు పెట్టుకుంటాం కదా, అందుకని చెప్పి ఆన్లైన్ కంపైలర్స్లో మనకి కొన్ని ఎర్రర్స్ వస్తాయి. సో అలా కాకుండా డిఫాల్ట్గా మీరు ఒకసారి ఆ క్లాస్ నేమ్స్ ఏమున్నాయో చూడండి. ఆ కంపైలర్లో డిఫాల్ట్ క్లాస్ నేమ్స్ యూస్ చేయండి. వాళ్ళు క్లాస్ మెయిన్ అని ఉంటుంది, అవి యూస్ చేసి చెక్ చేయండి ఒకసారి. ఆన్లైన్ కంపైలర్స్ కన్నా మన సిస్టమ్స్లో డౌన్లోడ్ సిస్టమ్ ఉంటే మన సిస్టంలో చేసుకోవటం బెటర్ ఆన్లైన్ కంపైలర్స్ కన్నా. మనకి ఎలా ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేయాలి, ఎలా ఇచ్చేయాలనేది తెలుస్తుంది. సో అది ఆ క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఒకసారి మార్చి చూడండి. మన క్లాస్ నేమ్ కాకుండా వాళ్ళకి డిఫాల్ట్గా మెయిన్ అనే క్లాస్ నేమ్ ఉంటుంది, అది ఇచ్చి చూడండి ఒకసారి. ఆ కంపైలర్ వాళ్ళు ఏది ఫాలో అయితే అది. సో అది థియరీకి వచ్చేటప్పటికి, సో వీ హ్యావ్ టు కంప్లీట్ ద డేటాబేస్ కనెక్షన్స్. సో ఎనీ డౌట్స్? మల్టీ-థ్రెడ్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్. సో మల్టీ-థ్రెడ్ ప్రోగ్రామింగ్ అంటే మల్టిపుల్ థ్రెడ్స్ ఉంటాయి ఆ ప్రోగ్రామ్లో. సో లెట్ us see one example then. సో మల్టిపుల్ థ్రెడ్ అని ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ చెప్పాం కదా. ఎక్కడుంది? So this one. So see this program. So multi-threading and multiple threads. So the meaning of multi-threading program is multiple threads can run at a time. That is multi-threading. So you know the creation of the threads by using the thread class, and by using the runnable interface you can create the threads. So here multiple threads means, see here in the main thread, that means in the main class, main method will be there. Here we will create the threads like this: t1, thread 1, thread 2, thread 3. So we will create the threads like this. That means here we have created the 3 threads. So multiple threads are defined here. So the logic is same. This thread will execute some instructions. This thread will execute some instructions. This thread will execute some instructions. So what this thread will execute? Whenever you call the t1.start, then automatically goes to the run method. So whatever the statements you have written in the run method, that will be executed by the t1. Then t2.start. That means automatically goes to the run method, same run method. If you have written the single run method, all the threads will run that run method only. So if you have the multiple run methods, that means same producer consumer problem. So in the producer consumer problem, so see here, for the producer, see here for the producer we have one run method. So the producer thread will execute this run method. So we have another thread consumer. So consumer has this run method. Consumer also has this run method. So we have 2 run methods, 2 threads. 2 run methods, 2 threads. Then thread 1 will execute this producer run method. Thread 2 will execute consumer thread method. So this is one case. Another case is we have only one run method. If you have only one run method means thread 1 will execute that run method. Thread 2 will execute that run method. Thread 3 will execute that run method. So these threads will be created in the main class. So here we can create the threads. Producer thread is P1. Consumer thread is C1. P1.start, C1.start. So when you call the P1.start, that will goes to the producer's run method. C1.start means it will goes to the consumer run method. So that is one case. So if you don't have the 2 run methods, more than 2, 3, 4 run method, even though we have the 3 threads, the 3 threads will execute the same thing, same run method. That is, see this program. So here we have only one run method. So here we have only one run method. Here we have only one run method. So thread 1 will execute same run method. Thread 2 will execute same run method. So this is the multi-threading. Multiple threads are created. That means we need multiple run methods. So if you have the multiple run methods, each thread will execute the corresponding run method. So if you don't have the multiple run methods, we have only one run method, single run method, then all threads will execute that single run method. So to avoid that one, we will return this statement. Thread G is equal to thread.current thread. That means, so all this code will execute the current thread values. So here the current thread is, suppose take T1. T1. After this thread 1 execution, the current thread is T2. T2 will execute. After the current thread T2 executed, current thread is T3. So like that, then we write the statement thread G is equal to thread dot current thread. To refer the current thread, we will use this method current thread. So this is the multi-threading. So whenever you come across the multi-threading, there is a need for the synchronization. If you have the single thread, means there is no concept of synchronization. So whenever we get the multiple threads, whenever the multiple threads needs to have the same memory, needs to utilize the same resources at a time, then it comes the problem of synchronization. So that's why whenever you use the multiple threads, we have to use the synchronized keyword in the either of these three ways: synchronized keyword or synchronized block or synchronized static method. So by using any of these things, you can provide the synchronization. So the safe thing is whenever you use the multiple threads, we have to use the synchronization. We will use the synchronized keyword. So this is the concept of multi-threading. So any other things? So pay the college fees. So in the application regarding the college fees, so fill all the fields in the application. Year, month and year. Month means July 2021. So fill all the details in the application and forward to your corresponding counselors. So complete the fees as early as possible, so that we can finalize the attendance. So anything else? So anything regarding the classwork or anything? Complete the assignments as early as possible. We have to submit all assignments while coming to the offline classes. And then college fees. So those who have pending fees, college fees, so pay the college fees as early as possible. And supply, 2-1 supply. So you have to download the separate supply application, 2-1 subjects. 2-1 separate application you have to download, and we have to fill the whatever the subjects you are going to apply. So see the fee details. So anything else? So this is the end of the Java lab. We have 14 programs. We have completed the 12 programs. Among 14, we have completed the 12 programs. In the 12 programs, we have so many sub-programs. Minimum for average, we got the 3 sub-programs. So 12 into 3, 36. So we have covered the nearly 36 programs. Nearly 36 or 35. So for a lab, 35 programs is very high number. So, okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me, you can ping me. So this is all for the today's class. So we can continue the database connections in the tomorrow's class. Thank you.